So welcome to this second lecture of elementary design of RCC structure. Right. In the previous lecture, we have seen some general considerations as per IS 456-2000 codal provisions. Today again we are going to refer IS 456-2000 codal provisions, but today we are going to refer it for the properties of concrete. Right. So as you can see that plain concrete is prepared by mixing cement, sand, also known as fine aggregate, gravels, also known as coarse aggregate, and water with specific proportions. Now mineral admixture may also be added to improve the certain properties of concrete. Therefore, the properties of concrete regarding its strength and deformation depend on the individual properties of all these ingredients that we are adding to prepare the concrete. So this clause number 5 and clause number 6 of IS 456-2000 stipulate the standards and the requirements of the individual material and concrete respectively. So IS code has given the properties and other criteria which are required for all these different admixtures which are combining to prepare the concrete. Now the plain concrete after preparation and placement needs curing, and it requires curing to attain certain strength. Now the strength and deformation characteristic of concrete therefore depend on the grade and type of cement, aggregates, admixtures, environmental conditions, and curing. So these are the factors which are affecting the characteristics of concrete. For compressive strength, we need to see IS 456-2000 table number 2. Concrete has 3 groups: ordinary concrete, which is ranging from M10 to M20, standard concrete, which is ranging from M25 to M55, and high strength concrete, which is having the range of M60 up to M80. So as per Indian standard provisions, concrete grades have been divided into 3 types. First type is ordinary concrete. In ordinary concrete, it includes up to from M10 up to M20. Second group is standard concrete, which includes from M25 to M55, and third group, which is high strength concrete, which includes M60 to M80. Right? We have seen this table in the previous session, so if you have not seen the previous lecture, please see that I have explained this from the IS code. Now this concrete is graded on the basis of its characteristic compressive strength of 150 mm cube size at 28 days, and this is expressed in Newton per mm square. So to grade our concrete, we are preparing cube molds of 150 mm by 150 mm by 150 mm LBH, and we are casting those cubes and then curing it for 28 days, and after 28 days we are testing the strength and verifying whether our desired strength is achieved or not. The grades are designated by one letter M, which is for mix, and a number from 10 to 80, indicating the characteristic compressive strength FCK Newton per mm square. Let us say, for example, if I say I am having a concrete grade of M20, so this M stands for mix and this 20 stands for its characteristic compressive strength in Newton per mm square after 28 days. Right? So M is a mix and 20, that is a number which shows the characteristic compressive strength of concrete in Newton per mm square after 28 days. So this is the meaning of M20. Next thing important is the tensile strength of concrete. So the flexural and splitting tensile strengths are obtained as described in IS 516 and IS 5816 respectively. Right? So if you want to calculate flexural strength and split tensile strength, the actual practical procedure has been described in these 2 IS codes, which is IS 516 and IS 5816. In IS 456-2000, if you refer clause number 6.2.2, which gives an estimation of flexural strength FCR of concrete from its characteristic compressive strength. The formula is FCR is equal to 0.7 times square root of FCK. This formula is there in clause number 6.2.2 IS 456-2000. We'll see this at the end of this lecture. So what is the meaning of this? Let us say for example, we have M25 grade concrete. So if we want to find out the tensile strength of this M25 grade concrete, so FCK is 25 Newton per mm square. So FCR will be equal to 0.7 times square root of FCK. So square root of 25 is 5. So we get a value as 3.5 Newton per mm square. Now let us introspect these values. Plain concrete is stronger in compression but weak in tension. This is obvious. Our compressive strength is 25 and tensile strength I am getting as 3.5. So the tensile strength is approximately 1 by 8 to 1 by 12 times compressive strength. 1 by 8 or 1 by 12th of compressive strength. That is why steel is used as reinforcing material to make the concrete sustainable in tension also. This is the reason that our concrete is weak in tension. That is why we are providing reinforcing steel to increase the tension carrying capacity of a member overall. Plain concrete, thus, when reinforced with steel bars in appropriate location, mainly in the tension zones, is known as reinforced concrete. Right? Plain concrete, when reinforced with steel bars in appropriate location, mainly in the tension zones, it is called reinforced concrete. This is the elastic deformation curve for concrete, right? Elastic deformation of concrete, stress strain curve for concrete in compression, right? Stress strain curve for concrete in compression. This is given in code, we'll understand from there. Alright, so what is EC in that graph? EC is the initial tangent modulus at the origin, also known as short-term static modulus. ES is a second modulus at A. ET is a tangent modulus at A. Epsilon E is elastic strain at A and epsilon I is inelastic strain at A. So if we go back, and from this figure we have noted down each and every terminologies, what is the meaning of all these terms, right? So if you want to find out that EC, so if you see the graph, EC is much higher than ET. What is EC? Initial tangent modulus, also known as short term static modulus, and ET is the tangent modulus at A. As per clause number 6.2.3.1, EC in Newton per mm square is estimated from the formula given in IS 456-2000, which is 5000 square root of FCK. If we want to find out short term elastic modulus of concrete, the formula is EC is equal to 5000 square root of FCK, and this is given in IS 456-2000, clause number 6.2.3.1. So it is also known as a short-term elastic modulus of elasticity of concrete, and it is used to calculate the elastic deflections. Next terminology, next property of concrete is shrinkage of concrete. So the shrinkage is the time-dependent deformation, generally compressive in nature. It is a time-dependent and it is mainly compressive in nature. So the total shrinkage of concrete depends on, first point, the constituents of concrete, the size of member and the environmental conditions. However, the total shrinkage of concrete is most influenced by the total amount of water present in the concrete at the time of mixing for a given humidity and temperature. So the main point is how much amount of water is there at the time of mixing, that governs the shrinkage property of our concrete. The cement content, however, influences the total shrinkage of concrete to a lesser extent. So as per clause number 6.2.4.1, the approximate value of the total shrinkage strain for design is taken as 0.0003 in the absence of test data. This value is given in IS 456-2000, so approximate value is 0.0003. Next property of concrete is creep of concrete. So the creep is another time dependent deformation of concrete by which it continues to deform, usually under compressive stress. So this is second time dependent property. First one was shrinkage, second is creep. So the creep of concrete is influenced by following factors. First is properties of concrete, water cement ratio, humidity and temperature of curing, humidity during the period of use, age of concrete at first loading, magnitude of stress and its duration, surface volume ratio of the member. These are the different values on which it gets influenced. So for this, IS code has given values. So as per clause number 6.2.5.1, epsilon S means short term strain at the edge of loading at the stress value of FC. Epsilon CR is ultimate creep strain. Theta is equal to creep coefficient, which is epsilon CR divided by epsilon E, epsilon C. So edge of loading, at different edge of loading, different creep coefficients are there. So suppose for 7 days loading, creep coefficient value is 2.2. For 28 days, it reduces to 1.6, and for 1 year, it reduces to 1.1. Right? So this can be asked in your exam for fill in the blanks or MCQs, that what is the creep coefficient at a certain age of loading, say let us say 7 days or 28 days or 1 year. So these values are given in IS 456-2000, clause number 6.2.5.1. So effective modulus of elasticity, right? Effective modulus of elasticity, if you want to calculate, so total strain will be equal to epsilon C plus epsilon CR, which becomes ultimately FC divided by ECE, where ECE is the effective modulus of concrete. So if I calculate the value of ECE, so it will ultimately become FC divided by epsilon C plus epsilon CR. Again, if I simplify this, I get ECE, that is effective modulus of elasticity, is equal to EC divided by 1 plus theta. EC divided by 1 plus theta. So the effective modulus of ECE of concrete is used only in calculation of creep deflection. So if you want to calculate the deflection due to creep, only then ECE, that is effective modulus of elasticity value, we are using. Next important property of concrete is thermal expansion of concrete. So thermal expansion of concrete depends on the nature of cement aggregate, cement content, relative humidity and size of the section. So as per clause number 6.2.6, the values of coefficient of thermal expansion for concrete per degree Celsius for different types of aggregate are given. So for example, for granite, the value of this thermal expansion given is 0.7 to 0.95 into 10 raised to minus 5 per degree Celsius. Next important thing is about workability of concrete. So it is the property which determines the ease and homogeneity with which concrete can be mixed, placed, compacted and finished. A workable concrete will not have any segregation or bleeding. Segregation causes large voids and hence concrete becomes less durable. Bleeding results in several small pores on the surface due to excess water coming up. Bleeding also makes concrete less durable. The degree of workability of concrete is classified from very low to very high with the corresponding values in slump in mm. So this is given in clause number 7 of IS 456-2000. Right? So we'll see this. What are the exact values given in IS 456-2000, clause number 7. Next important property for concrete is the durability of concrete. So the values for this is given in clause number 8 of IS 456-2000. We will see all these values when I share the IS code, share the screen for the IS code. Right? This is an important table again. Right? So table number 5, minimum cement content, maximum water cement ratio and minimum grade of concrete for different exposure with nominal weight of aggregate of 20 mm nominal maximum size. Now let us understand how to read this table. Suppose you are doing the design of a reinforced concrete. So for reinforced concrete, if your exposure is mild, you should provide minimum cement content as 300 kg per meter cube. Your maximum water cement ratio should be 0.55 and minimum grade of concrete should be M20. Similarly, if your condition is extreme, and if you are doing the reinforced concrete design, in extreme condition, maximum cement content you can provide is 360 kg per meter cube. Maximum water cement ratio you can have is 0.4 and minimum grade of concrete is M40. So from this table, there are many combinations possible which can be asked as an MCQ or fill in the blanks in your exams. Next important property about concrete is mixed design and nominal mixed concrete. So this is also given in IS 456-2000, clause number 9, right? Again, table number 9, proportions for nominal mixed concrete is given. Right? So suppose you are doing the design for M20 grade, total quantity of dry aggregates by mass per 50 kg of cement to be taken as the sum of individual masses of fine and coarse aggregate. So for one bag, we should provide 250 kg of the aggregates, total quantity of dry aggregates, 250 kg. Proportion of fine to coarse aggregate, we need to take generally 1:2, right? Generally 1:2, but subjected to upper limit of 1:1.5 and a lower limit of 1:2.5. And quantity of water per kg of cement bag is 30 liter. So this is how you decide your nominal mixed concrete. So nominal mixed concrete we can only design up to M20, right? So minimum is M5, maximum is M20. So these are the properties of concrete. Next ingredient of RCC design is the properties of steel. So steel is used as the reinforcing material in concrete to make it good in tension. Steel as such in good in compression. Hence, steel can be used in compression zone of concrete also to improve the load carrying capacity, resulting in reduced concrete section dimensions. So as many of you may not be knowing that steel is as good in compression as in tension. So steel is good in both. It is not that steel is good only in tension, weak in compression. It is not like that. Steel is good in both tension and compression, right? Unlike concrete, steel reinforcement rods are produced in steel plants. Moreover, the reinforcing bars or rods are commercially available in some specific diameters. So diameters are 8 mm, 10 mm, 12 mm, 16, 20, 25, 28, 32 mm diameter. So these are the standard diameter of bar which are available practically that we can provide in our member. So typically 4 types of steel are used in concrete structure as specified in clause number 5.6 of IS 456. So first one is mild steel and medium tensile steel bars. Second is high yield strength deformed bar, HYSD bars. Third is hard drawn steel wire fabric. And fourth one is structural steel. Mild steel bars had been progressively replaced by HYSD bars and subsequently by TMT bars, which is thermomechanically treated bars. So for the current scenarios, if you go to any site, you will not find anywhere that they are providing mild steel bars, right? They are replaced by either HYSD bars or TMT bars. So HYSD full form is high yield strength deformed bars and TMT full form is thermomechanically treated bars. So these are some of the images of the steel bars that are provided on site. Alright. So this is how we can represent. So representative stress strain curve for reinforcement, figure number 23 of IS 456 2000. So this figure is given. This is the stress strain curve for mild steel bar. This is the idealized stress strain curve for mild steel bar with definite yield points, right? So yield point Fy is 250 Newton per mm square. Definitely it is yielding at this point, right? ES is 2 × 10⁵ Newton per mm square. So this value we are getting as 0.00109, right? Up to this point, stress is proportional to strain. This is the stress strain curve for cold work deformed bar. This is given in IS 456 2000 again, right? So stress strain curve for cold work deformed bars. So let us understand the figures. Figure number 23A and 23B of IS 456 2000. So the representative stress strain curve for steel not having definite yield point and for steel having definite yield point respectively. The characteristic yield strength Fy of steel is assumed as minimum yield stress or 0.2% of proof stress for steel having no definite yield point. The modulus of elasticity of steel taken as 2 × 10⁵ Newton per mm square. For mild steel, the stress is proportional to strain up to the yield point only. Thereafter, post yield strain increases faster with the stress is assumed to remain in constant value of Fy. So after yield point, the value does not increases. For cold work bars, the stress is proportional to strain up to a stress of 0.87 Fy or 0.8 Fy. Thereafter, there is inelastic curve, right? There is inelastic curve, and which is given as below. So if the stress is 0.8 Fy, inelastic strain will be 0. If the stress is increases to 0.85 Fy, the inelastic strain is again 0.0001. Likewise, if it reaches to full strength 1 Fy, it becomes 0.002, which is 2%. So the two grades of cold work bars used as steel reinforcements are Fe415 and Fe500, with the values of Fy as 415 Newton per mm square and 500 Newton per mm square respectively. So if you go on site and purchase the steel bars, they are generally available for these two grades, that is Fe415 and Fe500. So next, let us understand the mechanics of RC members. Composite action. The reinforcement at a RC structure, in a RC structure, has to undergo the same strain or deformation as the surrounding concrete in order to prevent discontinuity, slip or separation of two materials under the load. This is very important concept. This is one of the reasons that why the steel is selected as a reinforcing material and not any other material. The reason behind this is that the thermal expansion of concrete and thermal expansion of steel is same, right? So we get very good bonding between these two materials. Maintaining the composite action requires transfer of load between the concrete and steel. Therefore, the direct stress is transferred from concrete to the bar's interface so as to change the tensile stress in the reinforcing bar along its length. This load transfer is achieved by means of bond and is idealized as a continuous stress field that develops in the vicinity of the steel concrete interface. So this phenomenon is achieved by the bond action between your concrete and steel. So as you can see your bond stress diagram, this is concrete tensile stress and this is steel tensile strength, right? So this is the mechanism of RCC member, composite action. Thermomechanically treated bars are also known as TMT bars. They are new generation high strength steel having extraordinary superior properties like weldability, strength, ductility and bendability, conforming to the highest international standards, right? So how we are going to prepare these TMT bars? So these TMT bars are prepared under thermomechanically treatment. The steel bars are made to pass through a specially designed water quenching and self-cooling system where the bars are kept for such a period of time that the outer surface of the bars becomes colder while the core remains hot. This creates a temperature gradient of the bars. Temperature gradients, the bars are then removed and placed on the cooling bed. The heat flows from core to the outer surface, causing further tempering of steel bars, thereby resulting in the higher strength of steel. This is the procedure how TMT bars are prepared actually in the factories, right? So let us see the codal provisions for whatever we have discussed. So as we have discussed, section number 5 and 6 are for the material properties, right? So first is for materials. So as you can see, there is first different types of cement that can be used. So 33 grade OPC cement, 43 grade OPC cement, 53 grade OPC cement, rapid hardening cement, slag cement. There are a number of types of cement that we can use, right? Then we can also use mineral lead mixtures like fly ash and silica flume, rice husk ash, metacholine. Alright, next is given about the aggregates also. Size of aggregate is also given. The nominal size of coarse aggregate should be as large as possible within the limit specified, but in no case greater than the 1/4 of minimum thickness of member, provided that the concrete can be placed without difficulty so as to surround all reinforcement throughout field. For most of the work, 20 mm aggregate is suitable. Right? So generally we use 20 mm aggregates. This is about coarse aggregate. Then important thing about water is the pH value of water shall not be less than 6. This can be asked in your exam. So please remember this, pH value of water shall not be less than 6. Then the criteria are given for admixtures also, right? Then there is about storing of materials. This is criteria 6, clause number 6. So for grade of concrete, then properties of concrete. So as you can see, this is table number 2. Grade of concrete is given, divided into 3 different parts: ordinary, standard and high strength. Then we also see in this tensile strength of concrete, clause number 6.2.2. FCR is 0.7 FCK, and we also seen the elastic deformation, that is modulus of elasticity, which is given as EC is equal to 5000 square root of FCK. Then we have seen the value of shrinkage, which is 0.0003. Then we have this creep coefficient values here. Then these are the thermal expansion values for different materials. Then we have also seen the criteria for the workability of the concrete. We have also seen the criteria for workability of the concrete. As it is mentioned that it is divided from very low up to the very high range. So for different placing conditions, different workabilities are specified by the Indian Standard Code. Then there are criteria for durability of concrete also. Okay, so you need to refer these criteria. There are many questions that can be asked from this. After that, the important thing about the table that we have seen, table number 5, this is given on page number 20. Minimum cement, maximum water cement ratio and minimum grade of concrete for different exposure conditions. Then we also have the concrete mix proportion, right? Nominal mix and other values. Right, so you need to refer all this stuff. Table number 9, proportion for mix design, nominal mix design, that is, right, how to do the batching, right, mixing, form work, right, which type of form work. This is again important here, right. So minimum period before striking form work. So how much minimum time we should keep our concrete in the form work. Right. So for that, if you see this prop slab spanning up to 4.5 meter, we can remove the shuttering after 7 days. Spanning over 4.5 meter, we need to keep it for 14 days. For beams and arches spanning up to 6 meter, we need to keep it for minimum 14 days, and spanning more than 6 meter, we need to keep it for 21 days. Right. So this is given in IS code, that for how many days we need to keep our concrete in the form work. Then another criteria that we have seen, that is the stress strain curves. So we go to that part, figure number 23. So just let's move to one more important thing about the sampling, right? 15.2, frequency of sampling. So this is important, those who are working on site, right? They need to understand how many number of cubes are to be taken. So if your concrete quantity is 1 to 5 meter cube, you need to take one sample. One sample means at least one sample shall be taken, right? So one sample means 6 cube, 3 for 7 days testing and 3 for 28 days testing. Second is, if your concrete quantity is 6 to 15 meter cube, you need to take 2 samples, right? So this is how you need to decide the number of samples to be taken. Okay, so next let us go to that graphs, right? General design considerations, and you have those graphs in figure number 23A and 23B. So just let me go there. It is taking some time. I forgot the page number. So these graphs are there, right? These graphs are there. You can refer it from the graphs. Just let me just check for one or more minute. If I can find it, then I'll explain. If not, we'll leave it here. Yeah, we're just close to the figure. Yes. This is figure number 21 and here it is, right? 23A and 23B. So let me zoom out so that you can see it on one go. Alright, so these are the graphs that I was searching. Right, so bottom one is for mild steel, top one is for cold work deformed bars. So this is Fy, full yield strength. This is Fy divided by 1.15. 1.15 is divided for safety factor for material, right? So strain is given here, right? This is Fy divided by 1.15. All right. This is for steel and for concrete also. Stress strain curve for concrete. So this is a stress strain curve for concrete. This is full FCK. 0.67 FCK you are getting by dividing it by 1.5 and again dividing it by 1.5, you will get 0.446 FCK. So this can be asked in your interviews, that explain stress strain curve for concrete and explain stress strain curve for steel. So figure number 21, figure number 23A and 23B. 21 is for concrete, 23A and B is for steel, one is for mild steel, second one is for cold form steel. Right, so with this we end this session over here, right? I hope I'm able to explain the terms effectively, and thank you so much for joining me in this session. We'll see you in the next session.